It's real. Nintendo officially announced that a full remake of Ocarina of Time is dropping sometime this year. And yeah, it's a remake, not a remaster, not an upscale or some kind of port. It's a fully reimagined, from the ground up remake. As the YouTube upload of the trailer's description reads, "A legend reborn." The trailer was less than 2 minutes long, and is very careful with what it shows us about the game. But still, let's comb through it and see what we can learn. The trailer begins with a tapestry, a kind of woven textile art. A famous example is the Bayeux tapestry, which depicts the Norman conquest of England. The narrator introduces Hyrule, a land created by beings of supreme divinity, and we can see Hyrule Castle itself depicted here, with its classic blue towers. These beings of supreme divinity are the three golden goddesses, Din, Nehru and Faron, who created the land, the laws, and life itself respectively. When they departed their newly created world for the heavens, they left behind the triforce, an artifact of limitless power. Clearly, this trailer depicts the story of Ocarina of Time being retold as a legend, immortalized on this ornate tapestry. This is interesting because it not only means that this narration is taking place after the game's events, making it an actual legend of Zelda, but because how the events of Ocarina of Time's story are remembered in-universe is actually very important with regards to the game's timeline placement. The narrator explains that a small forest lay on the edge of the Kingdom of Hyrule, watched over by an ancient, solitary tree. This, of course, refers to the Lost Woods, and the Kokiri forest within it, which for so long has stood as a barrier, deterring outsiders and maintaining the order of the world. Fittingly, the background music at this point is this.
At the very edge of this kingdom, there lay a small forest.
A version of Saria's song. The theme of the Lost Woods. This ancient tree is the Great Deku Tree, a sentient tree spirit, the guardian of the forest and the father of the Kokiri, childlike forest spirits who dwell in the Kokiri forest. These are in fact the same spirits as the Koroks, seen in Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom and The Wind Waker, or rather, they're the ancestors of the Koroks. The Wind Waker's Deku Tree explains how they once took the form of humans, but changed when they came to live on the sea. Before the events of Ocarina of Time, the Kokiri forest is a sheltered, peaceful woodland village, where the Kokiri live in homes carved from the trunks of trees. And, as the narrator explains, they all have a fairy companion, a small guardian spirit who follows them always. As the narrator describes the Kokiri, the music transitions into this.
Were called the Kokiri. Each had a fairy companion, and they lived out their innocent lives in these woods.
Which is the main melody of the Kokiri forest theme. On the top of the tapestry, we can see the Kokiri depicted living their lives in the forest. And, funnily enough, we can spot recognisable Kokiri from Ocarina of Time, like the Know-It-All brothers, struggling to lift a rock and cutting long grass. Interestingly, one of the Kokiri, here on the left-hand side of the tapestry, appears to be holding a small blade, likely the Kokiri sword, a sacred treasure of the tribe. All of them are shown next to their fairies. All, that is, except one. Link, the boy without a fairy, is depicted away from the Kokiri, curled up and fast asleep. He's wearing the same green tunic and pointed hat as the others, but a triangle can be seen on his hand. Then, The trailer fades away from the tapestry and into the actual Kokiri forest, where we see Link asleep in his treehouse. This is how Ocarina of Time begins, with Link dreaming. His dreams are premonitions of events that have not yet come to pass, and Ocarina of Time opens with Link dreaming that he is standing at the gates of Hyrule Castle Town, faced with the monstrous silhouette of Ganondorf, the King of Thieves. Link's prophetic dreams here are explained by the great Deku Tree, who says that, as the servants of evil gain strength, a vile climate pervades the land and causes nightmares to those sensitive to it. Princess Zelda's prophetic dreams are also crucial to the game's plot. This is, of course, our first look at the reimagined child Link. Interestingly, he isn't wearing his hat like he does in the original version. This could mean he'll obtain his hat later on in the game, or more likely, he's just taken it off while he sleeps. What he is wearing, though, is still notable, a green Kokiri tunic which seems to have been woven out of some kind of plant fibre, like reeds or grass, fitting for the Kokiri. Over the top of this is another layer, a tunic of something which looks like leather, marked with the familiar flowing patterns often associated with the Kokiri, seen not only on their symbol, but also on the forest dweller equipment in the Wild games. Link's left hand glows, and we see the symbol of the triforce marked on it, with the bottom right triangle glowing the brightest. This is what the triangle was depicting on the tapestry, the mark of the triforce of courage on his hand. In the original version of Ocarina of Time, the triforce, all three pieces, power, wisdom and courage, lay in the sacred realm. Ganondorf breaks into this place and tries to take the Triforce for himself, but as he does not have a balanced heart, he's able to claim only the piece that he represents best, power, with the others being bestowed on those who embodied their virtues, Zelda claiming the Triforce of Wisdom and Link the Triforce of Courage. So it's interesting that we see Link's hand glowing at this point, long before he should claim the Triforce of Courage itself. However, this doesn't mean that he is actually in possession of it at this point. A mark on the back of the hand has often been used in the Zelda series simply to symbolize one's worthiness of the Triforce, rather than the possession of the Triforce itself. For example, in the backstory of Adventure of Link, the mark of the Triforce appears on Link's hand on his 16th birthday, signaling that he will be the one to claim the Triforce of Courage. This is also the case in Skyward Sword. Upon imbuing the Goddess Sword with the sacred flames, the marks of the Triforce of Power, Wisdom and Courage appear on his hand. Zelda explains that, during your long journey, you've grown so much. You learned wisdom from solving devious puzzles and traps. You gained power by honing and tempering both yourself and your sword. And by overcoming the trials set before you by the goddess, you found true courage. Now that those qualities reside in you, you are worthy of wielding the power the old gods left behind for our kind. You can claim the Triforce. And following this, the marks of the Triforce again shine from the back of his sword hand, despite him not yet having visited Sky Keep, where the Triforce is actually found. So I'd wager that's what we're seeing here, Link's worthiness, his courage marked on his hand, a sign that he will eventually gain the Triforce of Courage itself. It's notable that this also appears while Link is dreaming of Ganondorf, almost like those whose fates are entwined are calling to one another. At this point, the music transitions into a version of the Hyrule Field theme. Signalling the adventure that Link is going to embark on, as the game's logo is revealed. The font for The Legend of Zelda is the same one introduced by Breath of the Wild, the distressed, chipped logo. Originally, it seemed like this logo was only meant to represent Breath of the Wild, a post-apocalyptic Zelda set in the ruins of the long-dead Kingdom of Hyrule. But it's gone on to apparently become the series' main logo, used not only for Tears of the Kingdom, but for the Link's Awakening remake and Echoes of Wisdom too. But that's it for this reveal trailer for Ocarina of Time. It doesn't do a whole lot more than announcing to the world that this game exists. It's coming, and we'd better be ready to experience one of the greatest video games of all time all over again. Words can't describe how excited I am for this. Do you share my feelings? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, stay tuned to this channel for a ton more content on this game. Even though this remake has been heavily rumoured for a long time, I've been hesitant to talk about it before an official confirmation. Well, that confirmation's here. It's real, and I can't wait. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.